Hello, thank you for always choosing Online Maths Expo. Do you know that there is a difference between this, this, and this? Join Online Maths Expo today to know the difference. Hello, welcome back to our today's class. Let's take you through this to know the difference in these signs we have on the board. This is said to be exactness. Exactness. Now this is what we call greater than, or what we call bigger than. Now I'm going to give you examples on each of them. But before then, let me refresh our memory on what we call number line. A number line is usually used to represent all the real numbers we have in mathematics. And if this is our number line, this is taken to be the zero, the origin. Now the numbers in the right hand side of this are the positive numbers, ranging from 1, 2, 3 down to positive infinity. Then if you move from here, you have negative numbers. But before then, numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, they are the ones we call the natural numbers. That is the counting numbers, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and above. Now, if you decide to include 0 to those numbers, we call them the what? The whole numbers. So we have whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and above. Okay, if we move again to the negative side, we keep adding negative numbers like this, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, to all these numbers. They are the ones we call the integers. We call them the integers. Now, we also have what we call the rational numbers and the irrational numbers. The rational numbers, like you can have 2 over 3. You can also have the irrational, like sort 2. All these numbers are contained in this number line. Now, let's go back to what we were saying. Remember, we said that this sign represents greater than or bigger than. Now, let's take example on that. If we are looking at the exactness, supposing we say that x is equal to 2, what does that mean? If you go to the number line, if x is 2, that means we are talking about the exactness of x, which is 2. That means x is just only 2. There is no other number. So x will just be 2 and nothing else. Now, if we look at this, supposing we say that x is greater than 2, what does that mean? If x is greater than, that means x is bigger than 2. And if x is bigger than 2, we are now looking at all those numbers that are bigger than 2, which are, if you exclude 2, you include other numbers. But let's concentrate now on the integers. That's the whole number part of them. So if x is greater than 2, we are going to have 3, 4, 5, and the rest of them. So when we have these signs, it is not exactness we are looking at. We are looking at group of numbers, or what we call range of numbers. I hope you are following. So for these signs, we don't concentrate on the exactness of that x. We concentrate on the range or group of numbers that are formed in that particular expression. So if x is greater than 2, we have numbers which are 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Now let's take the second one. When you say less than means smaller. We call it less than, or we can say smaller than. And when you say something like x is less than 2, what does it mean? It means that x is smaller than 2. That means x cannot be 2. In that case, we are looking at all the numbers that are smaller than 2, which is moving from this way to the left side. So if we are going by collecting only the integers, we are going to have 1, 0. If you move from here, if you don't include 2, you move negative wise. You have 1, 0, minus 1, minus 2, and so on. All these are numbers that are less than 2. I hope you are following. So if we have this, what do we call this? This is said to be greater than or equal to. Now, what does this mean? If we say that x is greater than or equal to 2, What does it mean? We are trying to pick all the numbers that are greater than 2 and also equal to 2, which are picking all the numbers from 2 and above. So we are going to have 2 because there is a equality sign there. We have 2. So adding 2 to this one, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Then the other one is less than or equal to. Less than or equal to. What does it mean? If we say that x is less than or equal to 2, what does it mean? We mean numbers that are equal to 2 and decreases, which are adding 2 to the number we've introduced above to have 2, 1, 0, then decreasing -1, -2, and the rest. Then the last one is when you say something is not equal to, what does it mean? If it is not equal to, let's say x is not equal to 2, it means that x can be 3, 4, 5, 6, and above, or x can be 1, 0, -1, and the other numbers. So what does this entail? When we look at this, when we say x is equal to 2, this is what we call equation. When we talk about equation, we talk about exactness, and there must be equality sign. That is what makes it an equation. Now, what do we call all these things you have explained here? We call them inequality. You see that there is a difference between equation and inequality. When we talk about inequality, we talk about range of numbers, just like what you have in the examples. Then you can also say that inequality talks about group of numbers that satisfy a particular expression, whereas equation talks about the exactness of a number. Join our next class to see how we are going to simplify linear inequalities, quadratic inequalities, and lots more of them.